Hi guys, I'm Daphne from my golden thimble, and today I want to talk to you about the Bailey bag. The pattern is the same. I just wanted to show you the pattern and the design I used for the video tutorial, which I loved. And it's like a kind of nude, more serious, more elegant design of the Bailey bag, which I think it also looks gorgeous. I did make the top part of the big bag transparent again, and the flat bag also here. I was thinking that you can actually make this bag with all solid colors and solid fabrics. I do like the see-through version of this, that's why I made it with this plastic fabric. But yeah, that's it. I hope you like this. I hope you like the video tutorial I made for you. And for all of you who already have the pattern, you don't have to pay anything else. The updates are always free, and that happens with all our sewing patterns, so don't worry about that. And yeah, enjoy the video tutorial. If you have any questions at all, please post them in the comments section, whether you are on the blog or whether you are on the YouTube page or wherever you are. Put them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, and also ask them on my Golden Thimble Sewing Club on Facebook, which is our sewing community. And okay, yeah, that's all. Let's begin making this beautiful bag.
Alright, we are going to start assembling the flat body bag. Place it over the zipper with the right sides facing together and cover it with a piece of bias tape. Use a lot of sewing clips to keep everything in place, and then sew a straight line to hold the pieces together. Now that the plastic window is attached, push it down and press the seam slightly with your hands. Take the inside bodice and place the flat bag over it with the wrong sides of the fabric facing together. Align the top edge of the bodice with the zipper edge, and then you are going to align the lining flap over the bag using the center notches. Clip all the pieces together just like this, and we are going to sew this part at 1/4 of an inch in a straight stitch. Cover the bottom edge of the flat bag with bias tape and use sewing clips to hold the bias tape in place. You are going to sew this part holding the flat bag and the inside bodice together. I put a pin on the notch to align the edge of the bias tape just like this. I don't like use pins and pierce the plastic when I'm sewing with it, but if it makes it easier for you, you can hold the piece with them. For me, I just like to put a couple of clips on the side just like this, and that does it for me. Okay, time to sew. When you are done with this seam, you are going to be over with this part of the pattern. Moving on to the big bag. Start with the big bag bottom pieces, of which you should have a lining and a main fabric. Place the lining facing up and the main fabric facing down, making the wrong sides of the fabrics facing together. Next, we are going to take our plastic window, which is the big bag top, and face it down to the big bag bottom, with the right sides of the fabric facing together. Make a basting stitch at 1/16 of an inch and then use bias tape to cover these edges and hold the pieces together. Unfold the big bag top and we will have the front of our bag. Now we are going to work with the walls or sides of the bag. These are the top sides that have the zipper. You will have piece 8, which goes on the top, and piece 8.1, which goes on the bottom. Place piece 8 on the edge of the zipper with the right sides together. Cover and sew bias tape on this edge, holding both pieces with a straight line. By the way, if you have a spare minute right now, hit the like and subscribe buttons or the little heart at the bottom corner of our site. Repeat the process with piece 8.1, placing it on the edge of the zipper with the right sides facing together and sewing a bias tape on that edge too. Unfold the pieces and press them with your fingers. Now you have the top sides of the big bag ready. In my case, I had a longer zipper, so I had to shorten it. If that happens to you, I have a video tutorial on how to shorten zippers on the resources of these sewing instructions in the pattern and in the description of this video. Let's proceed with the bottom sides of the bag. You are going to have your lining over your main fabric with the grown sides facing together and place the main fabric facing up. Put the top sides over it with the right sides together and now clip or pin all the pieces from the short ends. And as an optional step, you can add a little puller like I did here. Just put a piece of 2 inches long bias tape, fold it in half and place it in the middle of the zipper between the top sides and the bottom side layers. Cover both ends with bias tape. You will end up with something like this. Now push the bias seams towards the bottom sides and hold it with clips. To insert the magnetic button, find the exact middle of the bottom sides by folding them in half length and widthwise like this. I use a piece of soap to mark the point. And then inserted my button only in the main fabric layer, so the lining will be covering the bottom. Now we have to put our big bag pieces together. To do that, put the bottom sides facing up and take the big bag bottom. Make 2 notches on the sides of 1/2 of an inch from the edge to the center. Then match those notches with the notches on the bottom side piece. You are going to sew a straight line of 1/2 of an inch from notch to notch. Make sure you start and finish your seam exactly where the notches are. Now that you have your seam, make a cut on the end of the notches just like this, without cutting the threads. Turn your side bottom piece like this to align it with the big bag side and clip everything together. Make sure to align the sides. We are going to sew at 1/2 of an inch from both sides. Stop sewing when the plastic window starts. Now cut away this little square here so we can turn our back with ease at the end. Again, be super careful not to cut the threads of your seams. To sew the top part of the bag, I need to mark where my seam is going to end. So I used a post-it corner to mark 1/2 of an inch in and down from the big bag's top edges. Then sew at 1/2 of an inch, stopping at the mark you just made. Make a little snip where the seam ends, only on the side top layers like this, so you can turn your piece as we did on the bottom side. Finish sewing the top and cut the excess corners of this part too, as we did on the bottom. To finish this section, we are going to cover our bottom raw edges with some bias tape. Fold the starts and the ends of the tape and clip it around the raw edges. When you get to the corners, join them with your hands, as this is the way we will sew the bias tape so we can have a clean turn later. Clip the rest of the back and sew it in a straight line. Before moving forward, if you are liking this video tutorial, could you do me a super favor and go to the Bailey's product page and write your review about this pattern and tutorial? I will love you forever and ever. By the by, I just want to say that you are doing great. Friend, you got this. Your Bailey bag is going to be as awesome as you are. I promise you that. Now it's time to turn the bag outside in. Take your time so you can get neat corners and edges here. You should end up with something like this. The next step is sewing this back on the inside bodice. To do that, use your top side pattern, which is the number 8, and align it with the plastic piece from the seams, just like I'm doing here. This is so you can find where to mark your snip notch on the plastic pattern. Cut the notch. It should be 1/4 of an inch only, and repeat the same process on the other side. To cut the bottom notches, find the corners and cut 1/4 of an inch on each one of them. Now comes the hard part. Mark the center on the top sides so you can align it on the inside bodice of your bag. Let me show you how you need to align this piece. So, you have your pattern notches marks here. That's where the line where your seam is going to be. Now, if you measure 1/4 of an inch in and 1/4 of an inch down, you can make a new mark that you can use to align the edge of your big bag, just like this. As I won't be using any pins, it's very important to align this part properly. When sewing, align the notches you cut on the corners with the notches you mark on the inside bodice, and start sewing at 1/4 of an inch, from notch to notch. Now let's put everything together. Take your outer bodice and place the inner part over it with the wrong sides of the fabrics facing together. Before pinning or clipping, add your button on the flap. Close your back if you need to check where the button needs to be. Start clipping or pinning everything together. When you reach the big bag, you are going to take the edge of the big bag so you can align it with the edge of the inside bodice and the outer bodice, just like this. On the corners, push the big bag edges like this. The cut you made is going to open, forming a square to fit the corners. You need a little bit of patience so it can look like this. Use a lot of clips so it can stay like that, and keep clipping until you reach the other side, and you are going to do the exact same thing on the corner. Check it out, this side is a little cleaner and you can see better how it needs to be. Clip everything together using as many clips as you need, and then make a basting stitch at 1/16 of an inch from all the edges. Now make a loop with a 6 inches long piece of bias tape and place it at the center top of the bag. Then use bias tape to cover all raw edges of our Bailey bag. Remember to fold the end of the tape at the bottom. Then simply sew the bias tape and be very careful to get your corners sharp. The final step is adding our handle. Close the bag and take 2 pieces of bias tape. I use a measurement of 6.5 inches and fold it in 1/4 of an inch of the edges. Then I sew a top stitch on each side to form a little handle for our bag. Place the handle in the middle and measure 1 3/8 of an inch from the sides. Then sew the handle by making a little square with a cross on the top. This is the shape you have to make here. Repeat the same process on the other side of the handle. And you are done! You made it, beautiful goddess! Here is your beautiful baby toiletry hanging bag for traveling. The possibilities of customizing this bag are endless. You can add little tags as I did here, you can embroider a monogram, or simply play by mixing and matching your fabric patterns and colors. If you reached the end of this tutorial and you enjoyed making this travel bag as much as I did making the pattern for you, please take a minute to leave your review about this pattern at mygoldenthimble.com on the product page. This will help our small brand to reach more people that could be interested in this pattern and in our sewing tutorials. This simple action helps a ton and truly makes a difference for us. Remember to write your questions about this pattern here in the comment of this video, on the blog, or at my Golden Thimble Sewing Club on the Facebook group. Thank you so much and happy sewing!